Well, I had hoped that the caddy sparring between Jessie J and Delta had run its course, but the producers must feel they're on a winning thing because there it was again, front and centre from the very first performance on Sunday night. 2 words, bully and backbone. I'll allow you to apply them as you see fit. For now, on with the show. Here we are again, week 3. My name is Dr. Dan and I'm so glad you've joined me for my weekly review of the 4th season of The Voice Australia. So, why are we here? Well, it's my hope that the 5th Chair project provides you with the opportunity to see and hear a TV talent show through the eyes and ears of a professional singing teacher. If this is your first time here, then I warn you, the view isn't always pretty. I do my best to strip away all the TV paraphernalia so that we can assess the contestants, their voices, and their performances. This, of course, means that we often have to critique the show and its manipulative production methods. When it's all said and done, the main aim is that we all learn something. As we dive into this week's review, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and comment for your chance to win a professional microphone valued at $150. As they say, you've got to be in it to win it. Sunday night's performances reminded me that there is no rhyme or rhythm to who gets through and who doesn't. This week's blinds kicked off with a performance by Tamara O'Callaghan from Queensland. Let's have a quick listen. Tamara's rendition of the Marilyn Monroe piece, Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend, displayed a relative amount of professional experience, in keeping with her formal vocal training. Again, this wasn't the best performance we've seen this year, but it certainly wasn't the worst. The celebrity judges were critical of Tamara's performance because they believed Tamara lacked authenticity on stage. Essentially, they accused her of impersonating Marilyn and they stated that they chose not to turn because of that. Delta was the only one who, in my opinion, correctly identified what Tamara and her performance was all about. Jessie J, however, cut across Delta's critique and suggested that Tamara was hiding behind something. Tamara wasn't hiding. Her performance was an appropriately styled persona that chose to sing the song in keeping with the iconic Monroe. How can this be deemed incorrect? To say so is to professionally insult every music theatre performer, every tribute band and every cabaret singer that has ever graced a stage. I'm starting to think that Jessie J only has ears for the genres of pop and R&B. Now let me add that Tamara did make one massive professional error. The error is observed simply in her standing on the stage to begin with. Having visited Tamara's website, it appears to me that she already has a good thing going. Her career, despite it being in its early stages, has all the hallmarks of a young woman who is working hard to present and perform her art. I understand that many young artists believe they hear opportunity knocking when the TV talent show auditions come to town. But make no mistake, that's not opportunity knocking at the door. That's a big, nasty wolf called ratings-driven popularity. And if you let it in, it will destroy everything you've built, and it may even consume you in the process. If you're thinking of entering a TV talent show, my advice, don't. The gamble simply isn't worth losing everything. Tamara, if you have the opportunity to watch this, I encourage you to keep going. Don't allow the poor decisions of a few to prohibit your performance to the many. Monday night we saw another singing teacher take to the stage in the hope of cracking the big time. Have a listen to Renee Punset singing Ghost by Ella Henderson. Now, just so we all know that Dr. Dan doesn't have any professional vendettas against Jessie J, allow me to state for the record that I wholeheartedly agree with Jessie that this song is too old for Renee. On the surface of it, Renee's voice hits all the notes and the general styling of the piece is pretty good. You could be forgiven for thinking then that this was a good song choice for Renee. But it wasn't. Did you notice that at the front end of the piece, Renee sang down to the lower notes? In order to cope with the lower notes, Renee's larynx has to drop down and her tongue retracts. This is called tongue root tension, and it creates a labour-intensive environment that is inefficient and, over time, can wear and tear on the voice. Additionally, Renee appeared to have little, if any, muscular support in her lower body. This lack of support caused Renee to be laryngeally focused. That is, all the effort was centred on the larynx. She's getting away with it currently because she's only 19. Her body is young, agile and resilient. But mark my words, she only has another 2 to 3 years of singing without the correct techniques before her vocal mechanism starts to give out under the stress. Of course, these are all habits that Renee can change. The challenge ahead for Renee is her audience has now identified her as a big, effortful voice, and that's what her audience will want to hear more of. Personally, I would have preferred that Renee spend a few more years developing as a vocalist before stepping onto the national stage. She's got something. I just think, like Jessie, that she's vocally too young and consequently not ready. What did you think of Renee's performance? How far do you think Renee can go in this competition? Leave your comments below. As expected, Tuesday night showcased some pretty good voices. Let's listen to one of them. Shayana Terziowska sang the Sarah Bareilles piece, Gravity. Shayana did a nice job of this piece. The styling showed a vocal interpretation beyond her 16 years of age. This being said, I'm afraid I have to state once again that Shayana's voice is actually too young for this piece. You see, the anatomy of a female voice at the age of 16 is only just settling into its new adult form, having recently developed through puberty. It's subtle, but did you hear Shayana's voice struggle when it moved between the upper and lower registers? Most female voices go through a slightly breathy period of time during puberty, and we can still hear the remnants of this in Shayana's voice. I often describe the voice at this stage of development as a butterfly that has just emerged from the chrysalis. The butterfly doesn't fly off straight away, it sits and fans its wings, waiting for its wing structure to harden so that it can handle the physical stresses of flight. And that's what I hear in Shayana's voice. It's a beautiful butterfly that isn't quite ready for flight. And the indecision displayed by the voice over the registrational transitions, as well as the slight aspiration, confirms that this voice is not ready to handle the rigours of a career in full flight. Add to this Shayana's emotional breakdown when Jessie J turned her chair, and you have the complete picture of a singer who is not ready for the big time. What do you think of Shayana's performance? What do you think of my assessment of her voice? Do you think I'm being too technical? Let me know in the comments below. Okay, we now have our 48 finalists. Of course, we've killed off scores of great singers to get here, but the wonderful drug of tabloid TV seems to deaden the pain. Come to think of it, I hardly felt a thing. By now, you should have chosen 12 singers for your team. I found it really hard to choose my final 4 this week, but choose I must. So, for good or ill, I'm adding Jeremy Ryan, Claudia Migliaccio, Claudia, I hope that's correct, Simi Viata and Caleb Jago-Ward. Having looked at my list, it's interesting to me that I have favoured the voices that Ricky and the Madden brothers have gone for. I wonder who will be left standing at the end of it all. What's your final list look like? Remember to write your list down in the comments section and let us all know here at Voice Essentials why you chose the singers that you did. The blinds have come to an end. Next week we enter the battle rounds, the section of the program that I dislike the most. I hate seeing artists pitted against each other, but I'm sure we'll all get through it together. To close, let me nominate my pick of the week. Now, this wasn't so tough this week because there was one performance that really stood out. This week's pick goes to a performance that was nothing short of pro vocal. From the notes, to the energy, to the stagecraft, Caleb Jago-Ward, got to remember that Ward bit, sorry Caleb, showed us all how it should be done. And make no mistake, Somebody to Love by Queen is an extremely difficult song to pull off. I take my hat off to you, Caleb. Awesome job. 3 down, 9 to go. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.